What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hammer Down Creations. This is going to be Golf Cart Transformation episode number 9. In this episode, we're going to get the wheels and tires installed, as well as the new front tinted windshield, as well as I got some footage for replacing the wood on the bottom of the rear seat, as we saw in the first episode that was very rotted out. So went ahead and got some footage of it. And then I'll also do essentially a wrap up of the golf cart and go over a couple other odds and ends that I installed, such as the LED light bar, the fuse box, the rear view mirrors, and then the trailer hitch as well. So let's go ahead and hop into it and see what's done to it. So the day has arrived. The tires and wheels are finally here, so I'm going to go ahead and get those opened up and throw it onto the cart. Those things look pretty good. All right, so it did say to air them up to 30 psi and then back them down to 18. So I'm going to go ahead and get them all pulled out, get them aired up, and then we'll start installing them. Lug nuts. All right, we got them all aired up. Gonna throw the valve stem caps back on, get the golf cart jacked up, pop the old tires and rims off, and throw these guys on there. It does say maximum of 30 miles an hour for these tires, which may or may not be a problem, because I know I've already had the golf cart up to 37 miles an hour, but I do think that this should be fine, because obviously the original tires weren't rated for 37 miles an hour either. I'm hoping to see maybe 40 miles an hour once we get these on there, based off of the larger diameter of the tires, but I guess we'll see. All right, let's get this thing jacked up. Pop these lug nuts loose real quick. Yeah, I'm digging that black, or sorry, I guess, yeah, black, purple, and gold or bronze or whatever color you want to call it. I didn't think that I would like the original EZGO placard on the front there, but kind of matches up rather nicely. Got chrome lug nuts, which I wish they were maybe black or something, but I'm sure there's some sort of torque spec for these, but I'm going to get them on there tight and then go ride it around and probably come back and torque them up a little bit. All right, front's all done for now. Oh yeah, that looks much better. All right, let's get the back done. All right, let's get it dropped down, get all these lug nuts tightened up, and then maybe take it for a test drive. All right, so I just want to do a quick shoot of it with all installed. Looking at the alignment, I think I might still be a little bit toe out on these tires. Now that I have the larger tires on there, I can at least do some measuring and see how far we are out. But looks pretty good. As you can see, I also put in the floor mat, showed up today. Gotta get these side skirts on there with the little aluminum kick plates, so I'll get those on. Still got to do something up here with the front, just from where we screwed up the wrap. Like I said, I'm not a professional wrapper whatsoever, so got some ideas to cover that up / fix it. And then yeah, I think we'll probably take a little break from it and just ride it around for a little bit. All right, so first test drive is done with the new tires and wheels on it. It rode actually extremely well, much better than it did with those old golf course wheels and tires right there. The only issue that I really had was it's too tall to fit in the other garage now. And that's going to be the home for it, because I'm going to designate this one for all the motorcycles and stuff. And the golf cart is going to live over there in the attached garage. But overall, satisfied. These are some Amazon wheels and tires, and they did pretty good. So next, I think we'll get the floorboard done, get all these side skirts put back on, and then start tying up some loose ends, and should be done for a while. I did get a distribution block with some fuses on it to clean up some cabling inside. Take this old, oh, yeah. Let's see, can I see that? Yep, so I'm gonna take that off right there and then run some wires over there. Hopefully clean it up a little bit. And yeah, it'll be done for a little bit, and we'll just ride it around and enjoy it. All right, so I lied. It does fit in this garage. I was gonna lower the roof down. I did actually buy some new spacers for it, because the back is 4 inches, front is 2.5, but all I had to do was raise the garage door up. So it was all the way up on the track. All I did was raise the bracket up to the next hole on there, and then I adjusted the closing point, and it fits. It barely hits on this back rail as it's coming in, but it's ever so slightly, and that point up there is rather flexible, so it just knocks it and then pulls right in. So we got to be careful pulling it in and out, but for now it's in here and frees up some room over in the other garage. For our next upgrade for the golf cart, I'm going to be swapping out this windshield. So over here, I've already unboxed. Got a new tinted windshield. Comes with the new brackets, and then also some rubber stoppers for it. You can see on here, so the old windshield, everything's a little cracked up. It slid down. It's resting on top of the wrap kit right there. And then it's also missing the rubber stoppers that go into these holes right here. So it should be a pretty quick install. I think somebody just screwed in some holes on there to put some bolts in to hold it on a little bit better. So we'll go ahead and get this one ripped off of here and get the new one installed. You can see right there, like I said, these are pretty beat up already, so it's definitely a good thing when we swap it out. Also, the new one is tinted, so it'll probably look a little bit better. So the install for these is pretty easy. All you got to do is attach, in accordance with the instructions, attach the rails that attach on the side of the windshield, and then place it onto the cart. What I'm going to do, I'm going to install these rubber stoppers first. So I'm going to put bolt through, then we got the rubber stopper washer, and then a washer on the back. This will make it a little bit easier just to set the windshield down on it, and then I'll come back and tighten everything up. All right, next step, just like I mentioned before, I'm going to throw these onto the side of the windshield itself, and then we'll throw it onto the golf cart. All right, let's check the fitment on the rails, and then we'll go ahead and throw this up there. All right, so I pushed it a little bit further down on there. Got it lined a little bit better. Let's see if we can get this to set up here enough to where we can push it in. All right, so now I'm gonna pull the plastic off, see how it looks. This is supposed to be the tinted version. It's definitely not the most satisfying protective film removal I've ever heard. All right, so there it is. Doesn't look too tinted, but I guess it is slightly darker than the original, which was completely clear. But it's definitely a lot less scratched up than the original one was. So that's good. And like I said, it's not tearing up the wrap kit that was right there. So it's worth it in my book. Let's see how it looks looking out the front. Oh, you can definitely tell. All right. Well, that's done now. Only thing that really we're working on now is getting some trim to go around here, kind of like a fender flare, but not one of those gaudy ones. Just something to clean up the edges. And then also I got some new drum rebuild kits. Or actually I ordered a whole new drum for the rear of the golf cart because this thing definitely does not stop very well. The only thing that I've been using is the regen to get this thing to slow down. All right, one project down, 100 more to go. All right, so we got this piece marked out for the passenger rear seat bottom. Gonna go ahead and get it cut out. I know this is not the best tool. I'd probably normally use my circular saw, but I wanted to give this thing a shot to see how well it did. So now that we got this cut down in size, went ahead and just threw some clamps on here. Gonna raise it up and mark the holes for the other side so I can drill them out and put the threads inside of it, and then we'll go ahead and throw the cover back on. All right, so we got all these holes marked out on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill them out slightly bigger than the size of this bolt. Then we'll go ahead and hit these in with a hammer afterwards, start putting it back together. So all of our holes have been drilled. Add these extra 2 holes here on the side for some drainage, as the previous one had it on there. So now we're gonna take these, it's called a T-nut, take those, just hammer them down into all the holes so it has a nice place to bolt into. All right, so we got all these in. Went ahead and threw the cushion back on top. It does fit perfectly, obviously, because we measured it before. I was thinking about sanding these corners down, but I think I'm gonna leave them because they'll be on the bottom. But we'll go ahead and get the cover thrown back on and then get it bolted up. So I did end up cutting the corners of this just because with this new piece of wood and the original cover not being on there, it seemed like it was a lot easier to get this to stretch over the wood and the foam. So went ahead and threw the new cover on. I got everything moved inside because it started torrential downpouring. But we're gonna go ahead and get the bolts put in it and get it mounted up. So there it is, rear seat is reinstalled. It's not the prettiest thing ever, and one of the bolt holes didn't exactly line up, so I might have to adjust that by a little bit, but at least I can have some rear passengers on here now. All right, so this is going to be the final walkthrough of the golf cart in the build series. Again, just covering a couple of odds and ends that haven't been covered in any previous content. So you can see here on the edge of the trim, so I did put some just normal automotive trim on there to clean up the edges, again, because my wrap job was not that great. And then also I think makes it look a little bit better. Over here on the side, I still plan on putting essentially some plastic or rubber fender well type of material on, just to clean that up. Obviously you can still see some of the yellow that was on there before, so something to hold the wrap down a little bit better. And then also I think it would look good having some sort of fender well on there. And the fender wells that they sell for this cart, don't like really any of them. So I did throw these mirrors on there because it was pretty difficult going down the road trying to see any cars that might be riding up on me. Again, this cart will do 35 miles an hour, but some of the people driving around here are definitely doing over 35 miles an hour, so it's nice to know that they are coming. Up here, so I did throw on a LED light bar. It is a little bit difficult to see just with the stock headlight down here. It does work, but having a little bit of extra light while I'm driving around at night is definitely pretty nice. You see up here on the roof, so the spacers that are right here, I think that's about, I think it's around 3/4 of an inch of a spacer. I did lower the roof down a little bit, and the brackets that are right here are the original brackets that went onto the front of the cart. I did get some straps to hold up the speaker right there, so I didn't want to spend $600 on a nice fancy golf cart style speaker, so I just went ahead and stuck the JBL up there, and it seems to do just fine. Did put one of my 12-volt flashlight holders right there just in case we're riding around and need some extra light outside of the LED light bar. So this is all the seats done up. Still need to do a little bit of work on that. One of the bolts did end up coming out. Got the reflector put on the rear. And the trailer hitch right here, I still got to do some work to that. I put that on. The kit that I bought didn't exactly fit, so I tried to make it work, and then with the cheap Chinese bolts that it came with, I did end up snapping one of those bolts off, so I need to pull that off and replace it. So down here, I did end up changing out the factory fuse box to just put my own fuse box in. So everything's a little bit, all the wires are a little bit more cleaned up and looks a little bit nicer, and everything's labeled so I know what I'm looking at and which cables go where. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for now. So once I get the trailer hitch finished up, I'll probably throw a ball onto that and then try to move the trailer around just to get it out of the backyard. But for just riding around the neighborhood purposes, this is pretty much going to do it. So that's going to do it for the golf cart transformation. Thanks for sticking around. It was definitely a fun project. Definitely glad that I ended up going with this build on the TXT cart instead of buying a new cart, mainly because it was a lot of fun to do, and then also with the availability and reliability of getting some parts for an EZGO golf cart, I think it's going to be much better than buying a cheaper Chinese golf cart. So definitely a fun project. I definitely have some more videos that I'm probably going to publish for the golf cart once I do some more things. I know I want to get one at least for operating the trailer hitch and having it pull around the trailer just to see if the golf cart can handle it. But for now, that's going to do it. Hammer Down Creations out.